day and welcome to A Place Called Through. I am your host, Patricia Wade Goings, and we broadcast live from WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network. You know, I want to share with you about A Place Called Through. So many people ask us, what is a place called through? It's life, living every day. You know, we all go through something, somewhere, somehow. We all struggle with this going through. So this is what A Place Called Through talks about. We talk about everyday living. Everybody shares a story about real life, the challenges, the ups and downs, the insides and outs of going through. And so, you know, we just share this with our mission of hope. And, you know, with WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network and the collaboration with A Place Called Through, that's what we're all about, this mission of hope, where we encourage, inspire you, and empower you through these stories that come through our guests. But it can only be done with those charitable donations. And yes, we thank you in advance for your giving. And if you haven't had that opportunity, please, we ask that you go to our website, wytv7.org, sow that seed into this mission of hope so that we can continue to empower, encourage others like we're doing with you today. So today we want to welcome as our guest, Mr. Haleem, who has a unique story about understanding who he was, who he is, and who he has become. Most importantly is how he is helping others to understand themselves. So I want to take this time and say, welcome to A Place Called Through, Mr. Haleem.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Again, we do welcome you and thank you for taking that time out of your schedule to come and share with our listeners and our viewers, you know, life learning lessons is what we're talking about today. Because we understand that you've had some unique situations, you know, like many people have, you know, life, it presents challenges, sometimes unforeseen, some of them are seen, but it's how we go through that we learn how to deal with this, you know. And so I want to talk to you a little bit briefly, you know, about your early childhood and, you know, how you went through, you know, some things earlier, and then we'll get into a little bit later, you know, you're successful. So growing up, like most boys, you know, outside playing, running, playing the sports and whatnot, what was pretty much like your childhood like? And talk to us about, you know, sometimes in school, the guidance counselors would ask you, what is your dream? What is your aspiration? So talk to us, how was school like? You know, what kind of school life did you have early?
Oh, man, you know, school was excellent. You know, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, born and raised, and, you know, during the crack era. So it was just like school was a refuge for me. You know, I was at home. I wouldn't call my family bad, but, you know, it definitely was drugs in the home. I've lived in a 3-bedroom apartment with 15 people. And every adult except for my grandmother was strung out on drugs that lived there. So that was a rough patch. But again, as children, you don't really understand how rough it is. But you get a chance to see other kids who didn't have to deal with that. And it was a lot easier on them. And school was a refuge. I always enjoyed going to school. I was good at basketball. So when that guidance counselor asked, I'm going to the NBA. So that was my thing. But again, it happened around 13 when I had to really see how real it was when, you know, my grandmother, who was the only one sober, couldn't work anymore. And she said, you know, it's nothing I can do for you besides give you a place to sleep. And so the way to make money was to go out in the street and hustle. And so, again, I never quit school, never wanted to quit school, never desired to quit school, but I would go to school during the day and then do my hustle at night. And so that's what my childhood looked like.
So do you have any siblings?
Yes, two.
And
sisters.
So as you were going through school, you know, did they have the same or similar dreams and aspirations that you have?
Nah, not really. You know, both of my sisters kind of, you know, they dropped out. And it was just one of those things, you know, a lot of my grandmother's children dropped out. So, you know, I graduated from high school and the next 4 or 5 kids didn't graduate. And she had 20 something grandchildren. So, you know, it was a good amount of them before the graduating high school thing became a good look.
Well, that's a lot of people to, like you said, 15 people plus some, I'm sure, in and out of the house. So that must have been really horrific on you because, I mean, you know, come on, 15 people in small rooms. Okay. So,
It's tough.
you know, those close corners. I'm sure it brought out some attitudes, and you had to really learn fast how to adjust to being in those close corners, but most importantly, how to function because of the fact now you've got all these personalities, you're a kid, you're still trying to identify what is this, because I'm sure you heard your other friends say, oh, well, I go home, I do A, B, and C. And now here you are, well, what is wrong with me? What's wrong with this picture here? So as you continue to grow, you were like, okay, something's not right here. But as you were maturing, I will say, you began to have a vision. And I mean, everybody should have a vision and set goals, but not everybody is as fortunate or blessed to do that. So at a very early age, you had a vision for yourself. And we're going to get back to that hashtag won't starve. But we don't want to go there right now. But no, that was something that was really birthed in you at a very early age.
No, but the entrepreneurial spirit was definitely, again, I was the guy who was willing to take a risk. Again, I was a good kid, always went to school. None of my personal friends were doing the things that I was doing. That was just my thing because they had their parents. They had, they might have a family member on drugs or something like that, but their parents, my close friends' parents were just hard workers trying to make sure that they were okay. It was just my path. So they saw me taking a risk early, trying new things. Some of it wasn't good, but that was what we had at our disposal at that time. As I got older and started getting other things, getting exposed to other things, I tried new things that were better. But at that time, in those close quarters, even outside in the neighborhood, that's all you had. That's all you saw. So I took those risks. What that was building in me was that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. When you play basketball at a high level, especially in high school, all they're talking to you about college, and what are you going to major in? And I never said nothing but business. I always said, if I go to college, I'm a major in business. They always talk about your fallback plan if you don't make it to the NBA. So I'm like, well, I'm a major in business. And so that was always my thing.
And that's amazing because most of the guidance counselors, and I blame the guidance counselors and some teachers, even principals will say to that, especially when they see, in early age of school that you're inclined into the sports. So they just assume that he's going to be a basketball player or she's going to do this, it's always, bouncing the ball. I like to say it like that. They always just assume to me, and again, for my listeners and viewers, this is my opinion, they always assume that it's about bouncing the ball. But in as much that you may, have that passion to do that, bounce that ball, you have to have that rhythm and that rhyme to do that. So you had to find a whole new rhythm here because, again, your living situation was very unique. And so you had to find some new circumstances that would say to you, okay, I'm going to do A, B, and C. And so you pretty much, help me if I'm correct with this, you kind of laid the foundation for the path of life that you wanted to go. Like you said, sure, you went down one avenue, you saw that one wasn't going to work, and you went down another one, but inside of you was birthing another avenue to travel.
Yeah, definitely. Again, you don't be in that game and don't have no scars. So as a kid, I'm getting in trouble, but parents come sign you out or family member sign you out, that type of thing. But it wasn't until I became 18, I got my first adult charge, and it was kind of real at that point. But I had a cousin who taught at a school, and he said, he helped me get accepted to a college in South Carolina. And it was like, well, if he's going to college, we'll allow him to kind of get a slap on the wrist. And so I took the probation, went home, went down south, and then, eventually got expunged from my record. But I went to South Carolina, which is 12 hours away, with no family, no friends, no nothing. And I was starving, contrary to my shirt. At that time, I was starving. So I still had to use that hunger that I had and did the things that I knew. It wasn't until after I got in trouble in South Carolina and actually became a felon where I got a chance to meet other people who had different family dynamics, different opportunities, things like that. And I've never been in trouble since, but that was enough for it to affect my life for a long period of time when I did get in trouble down there. So I did have to use my entrepreneurial prowess to, navigate through life at an early age.
And so, okay, you relocated, city, and you're here in the country. As people like to say, you thought you were city slick. But you found out that same slickness existed in the southern parts of the world.
Exactly.
So you played the game, you bounced that ball, you got your rhythm and your rhyme, and it ended up taking you to a place called through that you really had to now see how in the world am I really going to get through this? Because so far, you're bouncing the ball and it's bouncing and bouncing and bouncing from here to there, and you're surviving, which is a good point. But the survival became real for you because, as you stated, you've gotten into some trouble, following this avenue, and you followed that avenue, and so those two roads led you to a major life-changing thing. So you were incarcerated for a short period of time, and you got through that hurdle, you came through, and so you had this period where now, okay, who am I?
For me, now I never went away to prison. But the thing is, they had me locked in for my whole college time afterwards. Like, so my sophomore year in college on, I'm facing time, and so we're going back and forth to court trials, everything. And I happened to, again, school. That's why I say I always love school. School saved me because my senior year of college, going into right before I graduated, I was going to court. But because I had the grades I had, because I had a very good lawyer and I had the things lined up, they're like, he's about to graduate college on the dean's list. Like, so I got another chance. But what they didn't tell me is that I wasn't going to be able to get those jobs that the dean's list would normally have somebody. I wasn't going to have those opportunities because as soon as I graduated out of college, I immediately got hired to places and they immediately let me go because of my background. And I never had a job that warranted my degree since I've been out of college. So that was what happened. That's what stuck me because a lot of people that go away for years have programs to put you and pipeline you into jobs. Being out in the world still with the felony, you didn't have those opportunities to get with a program to put you into a work release or something like that. So I had to just figure it out. And then being a college graduate, it was a different level of expectation on me as opposed to somebody coming home.
And then because, okay, let's back up for a minute. Coming out of high school fresh, not knowing where to go, or, you didn't know the twists and the turns, how you were going to get down to the next avenue. So that period of time between high school and college, would you not say that was like a determining factor for you?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. College was gladiator school for me. I went through so much at that time, lost one of my best friends to murder, back and forth, getting arrested. It just really got real in South Carolina. And once I was done with that, I ended up having to, my mom, we were estranged since I was 11. And my mom came to South Carolina with me after not living with her since I was 11 years old. And I helped her kick her heroin habit on my couch, So that was something for me to see and enough for me to say, hey, I'm not going back in that direction anymore. So that was literally like right after I graduated college. So here I am, 23 years old, trying to figure it out with a felony. And, I had my mom on my couch at the time kicking her heroin habit.
Amazing, amazing. And so your siblings, were they involved in any, helping you take care of your mom, helping her to kick her habit, or they were just?
Nah. Because they weren't in position at the time, and again, the thought process where we come from, if you got out of Newark, you obviously doing great. You got your own apartment or, and you're actually paying rent because a lot of people was Section 8, things of that nature, didn't have a car with real car insurance and car payments. So we looking like we're millionaires and you're really not that. You actually live in the struggle. But I had some room for my mom, and that was good. And we needed that. We needed that relationship anyhow. She had a relationship with them. She didn't have a relationship with me. I'm the first grandchild. I'm the oldest. When she left, she took them with. I stayed with my grandmother. So because I didn't want to go with the guy she was with.
And so, where was your father during this time? May I ask that?
Back and forth in jail. So he's been back and forth in jail all my life until think my dad got his last stretch in like '07. So I'm 40 now. So most of my time, I spent like a whole summer at the longest in my life with my dad. So that's how that was. I mean, we're cool now. Ironically, him and my mom are married now. So that's kind of funny. They've been married for almost 6 years now.
Amazing, amazing. After all that you all went through, how the family is still, connected with each other in spite of all the ills that you went through. But again, you're in this place called through, and you're going through so much because you're still trying to figure out again, who am I? Who am I? What am I supposed to do? And you were thrown at an early age. Okay, now it's like you're the family strength here because you have to survive to help them survive. Because if you're
Yeah, at least
helping your mom, get clean and sober, you had to really make up in your mind, okay, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do. So you already knew that, okay, something else had to happen here, and you were determined to make that happen.
most definitely. I felt that way. I felt like getting away was for my job to try to help everybody. And I did the best I could with that. I had all type of family members moving down at one point through college and afterwards, but that kind of played itself out.
Well, listen, we want to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come back and talk to you a little bit more about the family dynamics and who you are today. So to our listeners and our viewers, we're talking to Mr. Haleem today, and we want you to stay tuned because he's got some good information coming back at you at a place called the WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network. Stay tuned.
Calling all HBCU alumni, supporters, and golfers. It's that time of year again. Yes, the HBCU Swing Into Their Dreams charity golf tournament on Tuesday, April 5th. If you missed the last one, you have time once again to be epic. Don't miss the golf tournament of the year. The Swing Into Their Dreams HBCU charity golf tournament at the Atlanta National Golf Club in Milton, Georgia, Tuesday, April the 5th. Registration begins now. Sign up your golf teams at swingintotheirdreams.com. That's swingintotheirdreams.com or call 770-686-7148. That's 770-686-7148. Don't miss it.
And welcome back to A Place Called Through. I am your host, Patricia Wade Goings, and we're broadcasting from WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network. We have been so honored to have with us today our guest, Mr. Jamar Haleem, and we want to continue talking to him. We were talking about family dynamics and, learning who you are and your aspirations in life, how you get there. We all go through, as we said earlier, this place called through. But he has gone through some really, really unique things, as I'm sure many of you have gone. I want to share with you a little bit about him as we continue to talk about his experiences. And, you can follow him. He'll give you that information on his Facebook pages and his website. But to know him is to know that he does share really his experiences. And, a lot of times we don't want people to know, but to know is to empower, as we said, our mission of hope is to empower you and to encourage you. But note finding that he went one time from working $8 an hour at a Hampton Inn to earning 6 figures as a commercial photographer. Now, you say, who does that? There's the proof for you. Mr. Haleem has truly done that. And that was just done simply in a few years. He was able to accomplish all of this while being a convicted felon. While working for an $8 an hour, he developed his mentor, number one, won't starve, which is a catalyst for him to leave his job after only 1 year. Over his career, he has been successfully working with international brands. Get this, people: Nike, Save the Children Foundation, the NFL, even Amtrak, and the WNB. Who does that? Our guest today, Mr. Jamar Haleem. So take us to this place now called Through with your story about I Won't Survive. How did you come up with that? I won't starve. I'm sorry.
I won't starve. No, you're fine. I won't starve. again, going through this process of being a felon and meeting other individuals, everybody's not going to take it the same way, you know. So when I got out of the streets and really came from helping my mom out, I did go to church and got saved, and I took it seriously. I went all the way in with it. But at the same time, people didn't receive me the way I should have been received. So, you know, I tried to change and do the best I can and put my head down. But, you know, entrepreneurship was there for me. And that was how I expressed myself. But you going up and down, trying to figure it out, not having the real support system and things like that. So once I thought I was up, and we went through the crisis in 2008, and my wife lost her job on Capitol Hill in DC. So we came back to South Carolina because it was a lot cheaper to raise our kids there and to try to figure it out. And all I had was a camera at that time, because I bought a camera when my daughter was born to take pictures of her. But it was an expensive camera, and I said, you know, I got to figure something out. And truthfully, at first I tried to sell it, but my pastor bought the camera and gave it back to me and said, you need to use this camera. And that's when I took it seriously. And so I just started shooting, started working. And then a year later, you know, I was able to go to a TD Jakes conference, and TD Jakes was putting out his book, Instinct. And Instinct, one of the things was saying that if you might have an instinct knowing that you're supposed to be better, you're supposed to be greater, you're supposed to be doing more than what you are doing. And I cried like a big baby when I heard that. And but everybody around me encouraged me and said, he's talking directly to you. You are supposed to be doing greater than what you're doing. And so while I'm working at this $8 an hour job, because you know it takes time for the photography to pick up and do what it needs to do. So I'm like, man, I got to leave this job. And I ended up getting an office a couple months after that. And then a few months later, I just left the job. And that's where I Won't Starve came from, because I knew that I didn't have any support. I didn't have nobody to call for no money. Those days were over. I couldn't get nobody to help me do anything. I wasn't even worried about it. I said, I'm going to be fine. I won't starve. I'll be just fine, me and my family. And so far we have been.
And that is a true blessing that you haven't, because you have used the skills that you've learned along life ways that taught you how to survive. And like you said, you were influenced by the TD Jakes conference. And one of the things that you came out away from that conference was change. I know that you and I previously talked, and that was one of the things that you highlighted, that, you know, listening to TD Jakes and his ministry, the one thing that was forceful for you was change. And this is something that you knew now, okay, I have to change. Some things have to change, but you were more determined that some things would change for you. Again, going from, you know, an $8 an hour job to, you know, a six-figure job, that's a big jump. And not everybody can do that. So you were able, you know, despite all those other obstacles, but you had it already coming to you, this change. And so here we are, we're birthing, you know, I Won't Starve. And so with this I Won't Starve, tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about it and how you use that to help others. You're muted.
I'm here. I was muted. Once I got, you know, started saying I Won't Starve, once I created the hashtag, which we now own, every time I did something amazing or what I felt was amazing, I posted it and put hashtag I Won't Starve. Every time I, you know, had a great accomplishments, I put that out there. I just kept talking about it. I created t-shirts. That was just my own thing. And as I continued to grow in my career, you know, a lot of the things, the fumbling and bumbling that I did through my life, trying to figure out entrepreneurship, taking crappy jobs before, they were teaching me how to do better. And so at this particular time, I looked at photography different than other individuals. I didn't look at it as an artist. I looked at it as a business. And so I wanted to go to those major companies like law firms and things of that nature that was going to pay me the type of money that I wanted to get. And I got my business to correct. And I just kept moving. Once I got to the six-figure point, I started teaching other individuals how to do the same thing. That's why I Won't Starve LLC was created at that time, you know, because I saw where minorities, especially in the government contracting space where I worked at, a lot, wasn't getting the opportunities. So I partnered with some government agencies to create opportunities for them to be in front of those agencies, get their certifications, and actually do business with the government. And that's where we started on the consulting space and the coaching space, and it's going where it is now.
That is awesome. So talk to us about maybe if you have a success story that you can share with our listeners and our viewers about someone that has gone through your program and where they are.
Oh man! So immediately, as soon as I opened up I Won't Starve, I had an event called the I Won't Starve Experience, and basically I was bringing people in one place because I would be the one. We had film and photography business, so we're the ones filming these major functions that the city, the county, the state government is having, and it's amazing knowledge, amazing information, but it's not none of us are there. And so I said, well, I'm gonna have my own function, and I'm gonna bring the people to it. And I had these places, these people to come to my place on a Saturday, dressed in t-shirts, so they not scaring my people because you got these bankers with the three-piece suits on. Like, no, you're gonna eat sandwiches and let mustard fall on your shirt, just like everybody else. And my people gonna be comfortable when they talk to you. And I had a sister named Michelle. She had a cleaning business, and she was having a hard time breaking through in the government contracting space. But right from that point on, that same day when she got out of there, she was able to land the bank that partnered with us. She got to clean every bank in the Columbia area, every one of their banks, and it's Wood Forest Bank. So through that partnership, we was able to get her that was one of the first ones. And I'll give you one quick one. My daughter participates in a youth entrepreneurship program, which is a nonprofit in Columbia, which was started and inspired by I Won't Starve, because the young lady who runs it came to my very first workshop. And she said, because I came to that workshop, you inspired me to start my nonprofit to work with kids and as entrepreneurs. And now my daughters benefit from it because she's been participating in the last 2 years.
That is just awesome that, where you started out from and actually had no clue that life was going to take this twist or turn, but you were so determined. You were motivated by some of the disappointments and I'm sure the embarrassment and the shame, to make it to where you are. So we commend you for all that you have done and what you're going to continue to do, to help other people know that, no, they don't have to start. So real quickly, we're going to wrap it up. Unfortunately, our time has run out for us. But if you will share with our listeners and our viewers, if they want to get some more information, tell them where they can find that. And any books that you have out, share with us at that time.
These are all my babies right here. I Won't Starve is the first one. You Won't Starve. This is a direct training manual talking about how you can go ahead and get this is key principles of entrepreneur development. And then morning motivation. It's an adaptation from my videos that I do every morning. Been doing it for the last 2 years. It's called Morning Motivation on YouTube and Instagram. And we took 10 of the best ones that we thought out there, and I expounded on them and put it into a book so people can have consistent motivation no matter what the crisis is. We know that this is the crisis we're living through right now, but it's not the first one. It's definitely not going to be the last. So we got to figure out a way to stay motivated no matter what the crisis is. My website, jhaleem.com, iwon'tstarve.com. You can just Google both of us. All my books are wherever books are sold. So everybody likes Amazon. Go to Amazon. You'll find any one of my books and go ahead and get your copy. If you want a signed copy, go to my website. I'll sign it for you. But yeah, we just look up J Haleem, look at I Won't Starve. We own this hashtag. It's ours, is trademark. Look it up. You find me right there.
And you said that your daughter, she also authored a couple of books. So share with us about her books, if you will, too.
Oh man, so yeah, my daughter Sydney Joe, she has 2 books. She's finishing up the 3rd one of her anti-bullying club series. It's the name of her nonprofit, which is ABC, Anti-Bullying Club. She started that like a year before the pandemic. And when the pandemic came, she couldn't have her meetings. So I told her when she was watching me write books. So I ended up, here's her 2 books right here. I told her it's a good idea if she tried to write a book. She did it and she got hooked on it. So her first one is Malaysia's Big Move. And it's about a young lady who's finds out that she has to move from New York to Atlanta because her dad has a new job. She didn't like it, but she got down and found out that these young kids that she was going to meet was going to need her fire and her zeal to fight the bullies and to find out how to stop bullying. And then her friends created the anti-bullying club. And so in the second one, Now they're teaching other people how to fight bullies and fight back with the bullies. Not physically fight, but just stop being bullied, stop bullying other people, and stop bullying from happening. And the next one, I can't tell you about that one because she'll beat me up. But she got one coming up this summer. Another, I think, is Malaysia's big promotion. So Malaysia's big move, big creation, and big promotion.
Final word of encouragement, 1 minute.
The platform you leap from is more important than the platform you land on. A lot of times we're focusing on where we're trying to go, but we build a strong and solid foundation, and we use the gifts that we already have, and we shore those up, and we make sure that we're solidified. We can jump anywhere. Again, I'm in a new place right now. I'm confident in what I can produce here is because of the platform I've already created. I'm not worried about where I'm going. The platform I leap from is way more important than the platform I land on. So as long as you shore up your platform that you have right now, where you go, you'll be just fine.
Again, I just want to thank you for sharing your story here today with us at a place called Through. It has truly been enlightening and empowerment for others, as well as it has been for myself. And we want to encourage our listeners and our viewers, please find Mr. Haleem. He is out there. You just have to go search on his website. And, you know, everybody does the Facebook thing, so we know that we can find you on Facebook. Please go look for those books, read some more about him. If you need him to come out and help you, please don't hesitate to give him a call. Again, I am the host of A Place Called Through, and my name is Patricia Wade Goings. I am also the author of a book, and it is called Willpower, The Call to Rise Above. And if you've liked these stories that you've been hearing, or if you maybe have an inspirational story and you want to be my guest, guess what? Call me, area code 843-608-9744. Please visit my website for upcoming events and shows, and that is www.willpowerthecalltoriseabove.org. Send me an email. Let me know what you think about what you have heard, and that is pgoingswp@gmail.com. I am also an evangelist. I am here for you. I am a life coach. I am a health and wellness coach. I'm a prayer warrior. I am an intercessor. If you just want to have prayer, if you just want to holler and say, hey, hi, I want to talk to you, please don't hesitate to do so. Once again, it's been my pleasure, Mr. Haleem, to have you as my guest on A Place Called Through, where we do broadcast from WYTV7 Community Broadcasters Network. And I want to encourage everyone sow that seed into this ministry so that we can continue with our mission of hope to empower you and to encourage you, and more certainly to educate you on topics that we share globally all over the world. Well, thank you for being a guest. Tune back in next week for some more encouragement. Thanks again, Mr. Haleem. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.